Hey guys, and welcome back to Mike Reed's Katawa Shoujo. Last episode we were in the nurse's office. This episode's something new. I gotta stop making that a thing. The halls are quiet as the courtyard was, naturally so since everyone is in class. I knock lightly at the door of 3-3 and push open the door when Muto calls from the other side. Sorry I'm late. 15 pairs of eyes turn to me. Good morning, Nakai. Muto seems to be somewhat confounded by my coming in late, as if I interrupted his flow or something. Judging from the rambling lectures his classes tend to be, that might be the case. I pass on the note the nurse gave me. Muto takes it with a nod and reads it quickly. He lifts his eyebrow and gives me a kind of stern look, but doesn't say anything, just nods solemnly again. I shrug and he gestures at me to run along, so I naturally do. The class goes on lazily. I think I'm starting to get into the rhythm of the school. I've even stopped worrying about taking notes and being overtly attentive. The first days I was pretty high-strung in class. Muto finishes his lecture about electricity early, but continues without a pause about the festival. So, as you know, the festival's on the day after tomorrow. I hope everyone's projects are going to be successful this year. Have a good time, but also come Sunday. Please keep the meaning of this festival in your minds. Games and fried food! Everyone bursts out in laughter, and so do I. Yes, thank you, Makedo. But what I meant was more the remainder of his sentence is buried beneath the ring of the lunch bells, and everyone starts packing their things. I guess whenever it cuts off like that, it just automatically skips, because I'm not clicking those. Muto deliberates for a moment, but since almost nobody seems to pay attention anymore, he gives up and sits down. It's crowded in the hallway, or as crowded as hallways in the school probably get. Most of the students seem to be headed down for the cafeteria. Oh, look at that. I think that's a full 3 frames of animation. Normally I join the flow and grab a lunch myself, but today is different. Today I've been invited to lunch on the roof. An odd location, but that's where I was told to go. Fortunately, I managed to find shelter from the storm in the lee of the classroom door. Eventually the torrent subsides and I step tentatively out into the hallway, only to be met by Emmy, who comes flouncing down the hallway like a cannonball. Hey, hiya Sal, great timing. I have super extra lunch today. As promised, let's go upstairs. The stairway to the roof is a little dilapidated, but it's clearly been used recently. At the top of the stairs is a door complete with missing padlock. I wonder who the intrepid individual was that removed the lock. Emmy shoves the door open and steps beaming into the sunlight. Oh, it's Rin. Suddenly a tall, dark stranger appears out of nowhere, standing imposingly in front of us. Emmy flinches back, almost falling back down the stairs. Eek! Hello. Yipes, you scared me, Reen. That's like some sort of or like a reveal. There's no arms, the hair's short. That's not a surprise. Hello. Noticing that Reen is speaking to me, Emmy looks curiously at me. You two know each other? I look confusedly at Emmy. She's that friend of yours? Rin has turned her gaze towards the clouds drifting above the school. I didn't know you knew this person, Emmy. Dots. The awkward silence lasts only for a few seconds until Emmy lets out a tiny giggle, shrugging the coincidence off. I invited us out for lunch. If you know him, that's just better. Oh, does this mean I don't get food? Or did you invite him for lunch without the lunch? Neither. I have food for 3. Nice thinking. They walk to the other end of the roof while I stay at the clock tower for a while, taking in the atmosphere. There's nobody else but us here. I guess the roof is not as popular as it is in other schools. A few rundown benches and tables are scattered around the edges, perhaps in an attempt to make the rooftop look less desolate. The small pebbles covering the roof rattle beneath our feet. I peek through the chain-link fence to take a look at the school grounds and beyond. Students are strolling in pairs and groups around the quadrangle and the cafeteria. A few delivery trucks are driving past the school towards the convenience store nearby. Somewhere a watchdog barks at a passerby. Somehow, when I look towards the town center and the small town feels striking, I look towards town center and the small town feel strikes me very strongly, almost palpably. The hectic lifestyle of big metropolises seems so far away and foreign here. Nobody has to run to catch a bus like their life depended on it, or get their senses overloaded by the neon lights and traffic jams. I feel surprisingly optimistic about this new life of mine, looking at my new hometown, even if it's going to be mine for only one short year. Finding out about my illness and having to move away from home all came so suddenly. I haven't had time to think how I feel about it. When I step out of the shadow of the clock tower to the open, I feel warmth touching my back. The sun shines from a perfectly clear cerulean sky. Perfectly clear. A cool breeze sweeping over the rooftop makes me shiver, but only briefly. The wind carries a scent of trees and flowers, not smog and car exhaust like it used to just a few weeks ago. Emmy settles on a bench with Reen in tow and produces one big and two small lunch boxes from her bag. Come on, Asal, what are you waiting for? She's beckoning me to join them, making room on the already small bench. I seat myself on the corner of the bench to take as little space as possible. It's pretty cramped, but somehow all three of us fit on it. Impressive view. Emmy suppresses a giggle and places a lunchbox in front of Reen and hands another lunchbox to me. Here you go, lunch is promised. Homemade, no less. I'm impressed. Wow, this looks really good. Thanks. I make them myself when I can. Conversation dies off as I set about the business of feeding myself. Taking a few bites, I glance up and notice Reen deftly opening the lunchbox and popping a forkful of food into her mouth using only her feet. Even though I've seen it before, I can't help but be impressed at her dexterity. It's also a reminder of the sort of place I'm in right now. Will I ever get used to sights such as this? I can't decide if getting used to such things would be a good thing or a bad thing either. Does getting used to this place mean I'm giving up on being a normal person? Or does it just mean that I'm becoming more understanding about those around me? I'm distracted from my thoughts by the sight of Emmy tearing into her lunch as if it had insulted her ancestors. You seem pretty hungry. Emmy looks up, mouth half full, and swallows before nodding. My morning run always works up an appetite. Which is great, because then I burn through lunch pretty quickly. Helps me keep my girlish figure. What would happen if you'd lose it? Would you become a man? I very nearly choke on my lunch trying not to laugh. It's a figure of speech. Does your figure have to run in the mornings too? Do you always talk like this? Talk like what? Like what? I think that answers my question. Never mind. So, I struggle to think of some small talk and settle on the obvious question. How'd you two meet? Reen seems content to let Emmy answer this question. Someone in the housing department thought that we'd complement each other well, so we're assigned rooms next to one another. Complement each other? Like shoes and a suit. Huh? Emmy giggles at my confusion. Put us together and we've got all our limbs. Get it? Ah. So I started helping Reen get ready in the mornings, and that was that. I mean, you can't help someone get dressed every morning and not get along. I see. Reen chooses this moment to interject. I have trouble with shirts. Right, that seems fairly obvious. Really? Kind of? This isn't helping, but at least Emmy seems to find the whole thing funny. That, combined with the fact that Reen is genuinely curious, makes me feel slightly better and yet confused. I mean, you've got no arms. So, putting on a shirt seems like one of those things that would be difficult. You know what? I'm gonna just stop talking now. It'll save me a lot of trouble in the long run. Reen nods in what I suspect is meant to be a sage manner. I see. The conversation dies as I turn my attention back to my lunch. It's really quite good. Emmy finishes her lunch first and makes a contented noise. Contented. Ah, that was good. As she busies herself with cleaning up her lunch, Reen speaks up. I'm thirsty. Oh, I almost forgot about that. Sorry. With a flourish, she reaches into her bag and removes a trio of juice boxes. She tosses me the one that appears to be cranberry juice, one Durin that appears to be some kind of strawberry milk, complete with a pink color scheme, and keeps an equally pink box of some kind of fruit punch for herself. Reen dexterously stabs her straw through the top of her box and begins to drink. I'm once again impressed by how flexible she is, but this time I keep my comment to myself. Somehow I don't think either Emmy or Reen are the sort of people to think twice about the way they work around their particular disabilities. Reen especially so. Indeed, she gives off the impression of being entirely unaware that she's missing any limbs at all. Whether or not that's a conscious decision is another matter. I'm honestly not sure. So, Sal, how do you like it up here? It's quite nice, actually. I like high places for the view. Thanks for inviting me up here. And for the lunch, too. Emmy grins a 1,000-watt grin, pleased by my response, I suppose. No problem. Feel free to eat with us next time, too, okay? I won't make you a lunch, but you can bring your own up here. No lunch service? I don't know. Emmy looks mock offended. Trying to take advantage of my good nature? The nerve! She giggles. Well, if that's your answer, I guess Reen and I will just keep eating lunch all alone. I'm suddenly assaulted by the most heart-rendering puppy dog eyes I've ever seen as Emmy pouts. Kidding! I was kidding! Love to eat lunch up here again. Good location and the company's okay too. Emmy frowns a bit by my declaration of okay, but seems happy enough that I've accepted her invitation. I guess this makes us friends now. Or at least acquaintances. The lunch bell rings, signaling a return downstairs. Reen, you didn't finish your lunch again. I wasn't that hungry. If you don't eat more, you're gonna fade away. Reen shrugs as if this is an acceptable risk. Come on, we better get going. The three of us head down the stairs together. The afternoon class passes once again. I find myself without a plan for something to do after school, so I head to the library to return a couple of the books I finished reading. I'm actually going to call it an episode here, and I think this is actually going to be the end of my recording session. It's like 4:30 now. I've been at this for like 4 hours, so... thanks for watching again, and hope you enjoy this series so far. Yeah. Have a good one, guys. Seriously. Later.